Wow. All right. So that Falcons-Chiefs game, huh? Anyone else see that no call at the end there?
Oh, yeah. Social media is going absolutely nuts over that one.
Seriously, like, did one missed call actually lose them the whole game? We're going to find out.
Should be interesting to look at it from all sides. We've got a few different articles to pick apart here.
Yeah, we've got 3 different perspectives to dive into. First up, you've got the fans. Obviously, they are furious.
And understandably so, right. That was a tough one to swallow.
Totally. But then you have the players, and they seem to be handling it a little differently.
Yeah, a lot more philosophical, you could say.
Right, like they've been on the wrong side of these calls enough times to not get too worked up about it anymore.
You could say that again.
Yeah.
Experience can make you a little more jaded, I suppose.
First article we've got is Falcons star speaks out on controversial play in loss to Chiefs. It does a good job of showing that contrast.
You've got fans ready to storm the field, and then you heard Justin Simmons.
Right. Calm, cool, collected.
Even after making an incredible interception against Mahomes, no less.
The guy just played a heck of a game. And yet he's out there saying, bad calls are going to happen. It's part of the game.
He even brought up that forward progress call that screwed the Chiefs over a few years back, almost like he's saying, look, we've all been there.
And that's the thing, right? One play, even a terrible one, rarely loses a game. And this article points out the Falcons had other chances to win it.
Speaking of which, this next article we've got argues that the Falcons should be mad about a lot more than just that one no call.
Falcons should be angry about more than just the DPI non-call in end zone.
Catchy title, right? But they make a good point. What if the real problem wasn't that one call, but a bunch of smaller, less obvious ones that added up?
They're saying the refs were consistently spotting the ball wrong, giving the Chiefs extra yardage.
Yeah, essentially. It's harder to prove without, analyzing every single snap.
Right, you'd need the entire game film, every angle.
Exactly. But the author gives a couple of really specific examples that are hard to ignore.
Like that 4th down play where the Chiefs were clearly short, but somehow got the first down anyway.
And the coach even challenged it. You know, he must have been positive to risk a challenge on something like that.
And they still upheld the call. That's wild.
That's what I'm saying. It definitely makes you wonder what they saw in that replay that everyone else seemed to miss.
And then there was that play on the Falcons' final drive. Looked like their running back might have gotten the first down.
Olgar, yeah. I thought he had it too.
Me too. But the ref moved the ball back before they even measured. Even if it was the right call, it just looks bad.
No, totally. Especially if that kind of thing was happening in the whole game. Like, the article isn't saying the refs were intentionally biased towards the Chiefs or anything.
Right.
But even those tiny mistakes in spotting the ball, over time, they can add up to a real advantage.
It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts, right?
Yeah.
Individually, no big deal, but together, ouch.
Exactly.
So we've got the fans seeing red, the players being surprisingly zen about it, and now we've got sports writers digging into the nitty-gritty of the rule book.
It's like a whole different ball game, right?
Totally. But there's one perspective we haven't heard from yet. The referee who made the call. This next article is an interview with the man himself, Trea Blank. It's called Official Explains Non-Pass Interference Call Against Kyle Pitts, Falcons vs. Chiefs.
Oh, boy. Let's see what he has to say for himself.
Well, spoiler alert, it's not exactly convincing.
Really? What's his defense?
Basically, he just hides behind the whole judgment call thing.
The old judgment call excuse. Classic.
Right. But here's the kicker. He admits in the article that pass interference isn't even a reviewable call.
Wait, seriously, not even in the last 2 minutes. You've got to be kidding me.
I know. Like, with all the technology we have now, all the cameras, the instant replay, we just have to take one ref's word for it.
It does seem a bit outdated, doesn't it? I mean, these guys are making split-second decisions.
Exactly. And sure, reffing is a tough job. I get it. But these calls can be game changers.
Right. You'd think they'd want to get those right, even if it means slowing things down a bit.
Absolutely. It's like, do we prioritize speed over accuracy?
Makes you wonder.
It really does. I mean, this whole thing makes you question everything, not just in football either.
Oh, I know. It's like, how much do we blindly accept authority without questioning it?
Right. And how much are we willing to tolerate those mistakes are made moments just to keep things moving?
Exactly.
Okay, sorry. Went off at a tangent there.
No, it's all connected.
True. But back to the Falcons-Chiefs game. So, did that one missed call actually cost them the game?
It's tempting to say yes, especially after seeing that replay and hearing the fans' reactions. But honestly, probably not.
Justin Simmons might have been onto something.
One play rarely makes or breaks a whole game.
Plus, they had other chances to score. It's not like that no call was the only thing that went wrong for them.
Right, it's all about context.
It's just so easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, you know?
Yeah,
Especially when everyone else seems to agree with you.
absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's all part of the game, right?
That's the beauty and the frustration of it, I guess. You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And you know what else we haven't really talked about? That point in the second article about the refs maybe being biased in how they were spotting the ball.
Oh, yeah. Those tiny yardage discrepancies adding up over time.
Exactly. That's the thing. Those could be happening all the time, and we'd never even know.
You'd need, like, a supercomputer to analyze all that stuff.
I know, right? It's kind of scary when you think about it.
For sure.
Because how do you even prove that?
Exactly. It's not as obvious as a missed pass interference call.
And, you know, the fact that the ref who made the call basically just shrugged it off?
Yeah, didn't exactly inspire confidence, did it?
Not really. Makes you wonder what else might be going on behind the scenes.
Right. It's all about trust, isn't it?
Totally. And once that trust is gone, it's hard to get back.
And when you have something like this, where there are already questions about the officiating,
Yeah.
those tiny inconsistencies take on a whole new meaning.
It's not just about a few inches anymore. It's about the integrity of the whole game.
Exactly.
And how do you even begin to measure that? It really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like, how often does this kind of thing happen? And not just in football.
It's that age-old question, isn't it? Do we want things to be fast, or do we want them to be fair?
And how do you even choose? It's not like they can stop the game after every play to break out the measuring tape.
Although part of me kind of wishes they would, just to see what we'd find.
Right. Can you imagine the conspiracy theories? But seriously, how do we actually fix this? Robot refs.
Some people would say that's the way to go, for sure. More technology, more cameras, more angles, take the human element out of it.
But isn't that part of what makes sports so fun to watch?
That's the debate, right? Where do you draw the line?
Maybe it's not about getting rid of human error completely, but just being more upfront about it.
Transparent.
Exactly. Acknowledge that mistakes happen. Explain the reasoning behind the calls.
Even if the call stands, at least people would understand how they got there.
Right. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. It's not just about one bad call or even one game. It's about the bigger picture.
The human element.
Yeah. We like to think that sports have all these hard and fast rules, that everything is black and white. But the reality is there's a lot of gray area.
And a lot of judgment calls.
And those judgment calls, sometimes they're wrong. And that's okay. It's part of what makes it exciting. Gives us something to argue about.
Exactly. Keeps things interesting.
So next time you see a bad call, yeah, be upset, yell at the TV, tweet about it, but then take a step back and remember, it's all part of the game.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, I think we've officially reached the bottom of this deep dive. But don't worry, there will be more controversial calls, more questionable spots.
More fuel for the fire.
Exactly, that's the beauty of it. So until next time, keep your eyes on the ball, your mind sharp, and remember, sometimes the smallest details can tell the biggest story. This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.